Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Code Genius Riya. So in our last video, we have read about what is synchronous communication, and in this video we are going to understand what is asynchronous communication, and we are going to read two different ways to solve the issue. So in this video we are first telling you the first way that is not super essentially good, but it is good to understand you. But in next video, we will discuss the second way of asynchronous communication. So let's start. So we have discussed like asynchronous communication. We are using the events and events bus to communicate between the services. So suppose in the first way, here we introduce something into an entire application that is accessible from all of these different services. Refer to this thing as an event bus. The goal of this event bus is to handle little notifications or events being emitted from our different services. These different notifications or events are like little objects. You can imagine like little notes that describe something that has happened or something that needs to happen inside of our overall application. Each service is going to connect to this event bus. Once it is connected, each service can either emit event or receive emits from this event bus. Now, one thing you might notice right here is that we have got all of our service wired up to one common thing right here, which means that we have got a single point of failure. So whenever we deploy an event bus, we usually go through a decent amount of efforts to make sure that this thing is relatively resilient and it is not going to crash all the time, and therefore restrict communication between our services. So example, like imagine service D receives a request asking to see all the products ordered by a particular user that has been ordered. Service D needs information from service A, B, C to complete this request. So service D, first thing that service D will do is emit an event. An event might have some type that describe what kind of event is occurring, and it might have some data or conceptual information associated with it as well. So in this case, we might imagine that this type is something like user query, and the data might be the ID of the user that we want to look at. Reminder, whenever someone asks for information for a user, we make sure that user actually exists first. So this event would flow on over to this event bus. The event bus can automatically handle incoming events and route them off to the different services that might be able to handle that event. So in this case, we might be able to configure our event bus to send a copy of this event over to service A, and so we can imagine this event is going to flow over like so. Then inside of service A, we would have some code to be executed anytime this event comes in. So service A might see this event come in. It might say someone trying to look up some information about a user. Service A could then look up information about the user with ID number 1, and then to respond or get some information back over to service D, service A could emit a new event. So it could emit an event over to event bus, and it would be an event with a type of something like user query with data of ID 1 and name ZIL. So this event would flow into our event bus, and event bus could configure it so that it will set an event of type user query automatically back over to service D. And we might have some code inside service D to receive an event of type user query and do some processing on it. We would repeat exact same process to take a look all the different orders that this user has created and retrieve details about all the different products associated with these orders as well from service B. That is one possible way of doing asynchronous communication using events. So we will not use this approach. The upside and downside of this approach is that service D won't need a database. That is still an advantage because service D is still not needing a database. Then we have like conceptually not so easy to understand. It introduced dependency between services. You can see like service D still need data from service A, B, C from the event bus, like emitting an event bus, then emit this to service, and service is still like query and processing it, and then get back to event bus, and event bus give it to service D. And it has an inter-service request fail, the overall request fail because it is still dependent. And then the entire request is only as fast as the slowest request. If someone is taking so much time, so if service the calculation time of overall completion will be still dependent on the slowest service. So it is still taking the entire request is only like fast as the slowest request. So I can easily introduce web of request. It might be possible like service D is still taking like service C, service B, and service A take an across to complete a request. So it is the web of request can be possible. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of asynchronous communication. I hope you will get the point. Thank you.